For example, tell me a character who speaks in that variation. Tell me a character who speaks in that variation. Can somebody tell me who speaks differently?
Mrs. Nanga.
Sometimes, right? Sometimes he speaks in a like a standardized way. Let's put it like that. But sometimes he also reverts to, especially when he's speaking to other Nigerian people, the people. When he's speaking to the people, sometimes, right? Okay. And also, who else? Who else? Yes, in their dialect. That is, yes.
A narrator?
Yes, yes, yes. Not all the time though, but there are parts, especially in the first part, the meeting, where is this other person who's constantly speaks, and it's very difficult to get at what they're saying. But this is actually quite the kind of versions that Nigerians speak in and understand. And I was really surprised. I think because I was kind of researching certain things about Nigeria as preparation for this class. I got, so your algorithm changes. Na? I'm talking about, of course, Google and things you do. And then I got in my news feed certain things about Nigeria, and one was about how they are going to make education completely in English in Nigeria. They're going to discontinue teaching in native languages. And that article was in BBC, and I wanted to read it. And I went into that link, and it was in this English. I could not, I really had to struggle to understand. So, BBC, as like BBC singular, for example, right? So, like BBC has a singular version for Sri Lanka, for Nigeria, they have a BBC Pidgin. It's called Pidgin, BBC Pidgin, and the language of the whole article is in this dialect that it is very difficult for us to understand. But as you can see, it has its own BBC kind of version. So that was really, really interesting. So this is very much a very, very strongly located book in that sense as well. The kind of language that Achebe puts in the mouths of his character, right? Check that out, BBC Pigeon, that version, and it's really interesting to see, right? Because it is English. It's not Nigerian. It's a version of English that is used in Nigeria and probably in other a couple of other countries as well. I'm not a very linguistic person to go in depth into that and see how this has been codified, whether it is codified version, standardized or whatever. But it is, right? If you have like a BBC branch for pigeon that really speaks for how widely used that variety is within a country, right? And anyway, Nigeria is uh, one of the strong and visible with lot of soft power, right, in among the African nations. It comes from having like very well known popular writers, so on and so forth, right? Right. So let's I'm going to, yeah, you can see my slides. Yes, okay. So what we are going to do today, I hope all of you have read the novel, right? This is very important. Now we have 2 weeks or 2 sessions for this one. So we will take up the discussion next time as well. At least by next time, you should finish reading the novel. All right? Okay, so we are going to have a very brief discussion about the novelist and the novel, but that is not why we are here today, but to discuss more about the content, the kind of story it has written. And because this session is about literature and society, no? And this is one of the best texts to talk about how literature becomes a mirror of a society. Uh, Stendhal, there was a writer called Stendhal talking about realism in novels. He talked about how the text is a mirror held on to the society on the side of a road, sort of thing. So it captures day to day, it captures the ground reality sort of idea. And this is a very good example. Um, All right, and then political and social context, satire and irony, aesthetics of vulgarity. So I wanted to bring in a little bit of theoretical pairing as well to the novel. I know you guys have already done your theoretical kind of readings so far, right? Already in the degree, in other courses. Uh, I think you have read Homi Baba and Spivak. Solid. That's good. That's good. But I also want to bring in some of more recent theorists and post-colonial theorists, and kind of let you bring theory and the text together. I think that would be a good skill that would be very useful for you in assignments as well as when you're doing your thesis. All right. How to do a kind of a theoretically inflected reading. Uh, and anyway, the theorist I will be bringing on is someone who's very popular in post-colonial studies now. Right. And relatability. This is something that you guys have already touched upon, and this is something we can really discuss a lot. All right. So not in this order exactly, but these are the elements that we will be touching on as we go on. Right. Okay, I'm feeling quite alone here because none of you have turned their cameras on. So I'm also going to not have my video there. Right. So let's see. Give me a second. Let me know when I go to the slide, the full slide play mode, whether you can still see it. Okay. Hmm. No, I don't think this is the version. Okay, it's okay. Let's just do with the slides. I'll share this again. Give me a second. All right. Once again, one more question. Have you guys read anything from anything else from Achebe?
Yes, ma'am. I have read Things Fall Apart.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's a very, very good one. Anybody else? Oh, I don't think you guys have read anything related from his work. Yeah, things fall apart. Yes, others have. No, that's a very good one. Okay, so I think yes, this is good. This is good. So you are all ready, familiar with at least one of his works, at least some of you. Right. So first of all, Chinua Achebe, we are quickly going to look at few things about him. He's a Nigerian novelist, 1930 to 2013, often called the father of African literature. He's a central figure in redefining African narratives against colonial stereotypes, and definitely the father of African literature because he is one of the strongest, most visible literary voices coming out of Africa, right? And he is credited with telling the story of Africans in to a world that has been so long defined by um, white man's accounts of Africa, right? And Things Fall Apart is potentially the best example. Has sold millions of copies worldwide, has been translated into more than 50 languages, right? And his writing, his literary project was anyway a political one, right? He wrote to counter colonial narratives, and he has said this about his writing. I would be quite satisfied if my novels, especially the ones I set in the past, like Things Fall Apart, for example, right, did no more than teach my readers that their past, with with all its imperfections, was not one long night of savagery from which the first Europeans acting on God's behalf delivered them, right? So as you can see, it was a writing project that wrote back to the center. I hope you are familiar with the kind of jargon I'm using. It's a count narrative, right? Especially Things Fall Apart has been always coupled with Heart of Darkness, Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, where the Africans are savages, right? They are not really characters, they're subhuman, right? And Achebe has also written a critical article about Heart of Darkness, the kind of representation that goes on there. It's a very interesting read. Try to find it and read it if you can, because in a degree, when you are studying something, it is always a matter of reading around the text and the context as well. Okay, and the writers, theory, all that, right? So find it and read if you can, because you really understand what he is trying to achieve through his writing. All right. So this is the kind of thing that drove him to write the misrepresentation of Africa at the hands of outsiders, especially colonialists. Okay, white men, right? So this is what Edward Said, for example, talks about in terms of Orientalism, how Africa has been described in terms of being the Europe's dark other, right? Uh, Brush up on your theory as well, okay, as part of this course, especially in relation to this text of this course. So notable work includes Things Fall Apart, of course, No Longer at Ease, Arrow of God, A Man of the People, and Ant Hills of Savannah. Why this is kind of an important lineup? There are lots of other works that has been done by Achebe, but why I have listed these is that these novels form a kind of a chronological critique of African political life, right? Now, Things Fall Apart you have read. What is what is the what is the period, or what is the kind of the the in history wise, what is he describing there? Can somebody tell me who has read? I think Sewandi said you have read, and then Samanthi.
Yes,
Could you
ma'am.
guys tell me what is Things Fall Apart depicting?
It's a story around in 1950s, like that, with the British invasions that after the British influence, that how things change was there, and
Yes.
that
Okay.
so
So thank you. What you're getting at is right, but the timeline is not exactly was 1950, but the story is about pre-colonial times and early colonial times. So you have a part of this narrative that is focused on the Igbo society before the coming of the white man, and then you have the early colonial part, soon after coming of the white man, the kind of disruption that it creates, the violence it brings, okay, the complete decimation of a society, of a way of living. Okay, so that is pre-colonial, early colonial times. Pre-colonial and early colonial type things fall apart. So you have the tribal societies, so on and so forth. And then no longer at ease is late colonial, early independence period. So that is late colonial, kind of transition to early independence. Arrow of God goes back. In a way, chronologically, it should come before no longer at sea, because it was 1920s colonial rule, still colonial, right? And then no longer at ease describes late colonial part and the early independence part. And then in A Man of the People, and no longer at ease as well, and Man of the People, you have post independence. So no longer at ease, you show that also shows civil service corruption at lower levels, right, in post independence Nigeria. And The Man of the People, which is the book we are focusing on today, is post independence, and it's about corruption at the top of the system, right, at the level of ministers and presidents, whatnot, right? And that is also political corruption, patronage, all that comes in. So this is post-colonial Nigeria. An anthill of Savannah, it's a political allegory that describes a military dictatorship. And Nigeria was under a military dictatorship for the longest time, right? It kind of, so in A Man of the People, if you have read the novel, towards the end it predicts the military coup, right? And Anthill of Savannas basically shows the aftermath of the military coup. So you can really see a thematic and historical progression. Okay, so if you kind of read these novels, you get a very clear idea about the political, so the socio-political history of Nigeria as a country. Right. Okay. So this is once again, right? When you talk about Achebe's work in these terms, you can see how this is one of the best fits for this course, which is about literature and society. He really held up the mirror to pre-colonial and post-colonial Nigeria. Its transition, its trials and tribulations, okay, its challenges. Right. If you have anything to share or contribute, do join and share your thoughts. Okay. Right.
He's
A
also
man of the
very,
people. Yes.
Miss, I would like to say that he is very, very brave, right? To speak of his
Yes.
own country in such a bold way.
Yes. I wish we had something like this for Sri Lanka as well. Like a series of texts, not by the same writer specifically, but something that records what we have gone through as a people, no? Especially in terms of political culture, how they have completely destroyed our beautiful country. Like this kind of legacy, because this is not going to be part what we have lived through, especially in the last 10, 15 years or so. It's not going to be recorded in official history. I doubt it, right? So literature is sometimes going to be the only way that gives you a glimpse of the ground reality, the ugly truths that cannot be recorded in history sometimes, right? So it's important that we have a record of these things. And novel is such a powerful way of doing it, because nobody can accuse you of slandering someone, because it's a novel, it's fiction. It's fiction, right? Nobody can hold you to it. That is the beauty of it. And writers like um Achebe also does that. I think in Anthill of Savannah he uses magic realism sort of things to talk about very, very difficult, controversial topics to talk about, which also Salman Rushdie does
Miss,
in terms of
I
South
think
Asia.
Feroz Kamardin, he did this Pusvedilla, and I think he brought in a lot of this political thing
Yeah.
in a more fun
Yes,
way, but
that's
he
true.
really gave a satire. And also
Yeah.
Rajneeti, the movie Rajneeti in Bollywood. I really thought that also brought in a lot of
Yeah.
political insight into
Yes.
Indian.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So this is why, this is why literature is so, so important. In terms of India, I think I'm thinking of Salman Rushdie and then Arundhati Roy. Yes, right? So we have, and I think the Booker Prize winning, oh, is it Gratian? No, Booker, right? Mali Almeida, sorry, The Seven Moons of Mali Almeida by Shehan Karunaratne. Brilliant. You should read, you guys should read it. Once again, it kind of captures a time in Sri Lanka's past that people were afraid to talk about, right? It's really good. It's a
Is
really
is
great
that
book.
is that also
Yes?
considered magic realism because it talks about like ghosts
Yeah.
and
Yes,
like
exactly. Exactly.
the apparitions and all that he sees.
Yes, the ghosts, no?
Yeah.
The netherworld and so on and so forth. But these are the kind of strategies that writers adapt when they want to talk about a reality that is actually dangerous, right? This is the kind of strategies people adapt, writers adapt to kind of capture the unreal political situation sometimes, because they are unbelievable. So you write an unbelievable story to capture unbelievable realities, right?
Actually, Shehan
Right.
Karanathan spoke about it last time, no, isn't it Alia, at the Colombo Literary Festival about his book when he had just won and thing they interviewed him. So he brought in
Yeah.
that aspect of it, isn't it?
Yes, I wasn't there. Could you share what
Alia,
he?
you were there, right, Alia?
Yeah, I was there.
He brought in, right, that aspect of it, not very uh, like how he. I think even I think Sir Lal also did something that no about Aragalia. Some book he had done something. mm, I think Shehan mentioned, no, Alia, do you remember?
Yeah, he did mention he spoke about how is it? I can't really remember the exact contents, but he was referring to the politics of this of his book.
Yes, it's definitely that's definitely politics. Anyway, any kind of writing is political at some point, and if you go with the feminist kind of idea that what is personal is political, everything is political at the end of the day. Um, but yes, okay, so this is the kind of writing we are talking about.
Also,
That
Miss, I
yes,
remember reading, actually studying one of his short stories, Danger of a Single Story.
Achabes?
Yeah,
No,
Achebes. Is that
I think
Achebes?
Danger of a Single Story is by no Nukuki Watyongo, wasn't it? But yes, Danger of a Single Story, I think it was by this woman writer, Nukuki? Ngugi or Nukuki? I'm not quite sure. But yes, right?
No,
Read
Miss, it's
around.
it's
Yeah,
Adichie.
No, no,
exactly.
it's by Chimamanda.
Adichie.
That's
Yeah,
Adichie, yeah.
exactly. Chimamanda Adichie. Yes, exactly. So that's, but very good. Very, very good. It's a very
That's
good.
also
I think I
along the lines of
listened to the lecture at some point. The lecture sheets leave it in the same title, but must be there in written version as well. Now, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant piece of
I think in
thought.
terms of like what do you call like stereotypes in the African culture, it's more relevant, Miss.
Yes, it is definitely right. Uh, Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with everything going on in the chat section. Okay, just for the record. All right, where were we? Okay, man of the people. Yes, someone has already mentioned that how it was prophetic, which is very, very, yes, which is very, very true. So it was published in 1966, the same week Nigeria's first military coup occurred, which was predicted in a way. No? The novel seemed to predict the coup. Its prophetic ending helped cement Achebe's reputation as an incisive political commentator who could foresee what is gonna come. Right? One of the earliest, and this was one of the earliest African novels to critique the post-colonial elite directly. So, as one of you said, brave of him, courageous of him. And it reflects the disillusionment after independence, especially right in terms of rising political corruption, failure of nationalist leaders, the entanglements of politics, patronage, and greed. This is why this book strikes such a strong chord with us, because we have gone through the same thing, because we have gone through the same situations, right? Because I think we have already heard the stories of how Sri Lanka was the strongest economy of the region at the moment of independence, and was a comparatively a rich country, had lots of foreign reserves and all that. And then see where we have been in the last 70 odd years, right? So this is so relatable. This is why it's such an interesting read for us, right? Okay. All right. Okay, so a little bit of context, and we don't really need it to understand and enjoy a book, but it helps you, right? It helps you to relate to it better, to understand certain things that are going on better. But the book in itself is enough for you to give an insight to what is going on this post-colonial nation, right? But what might help you understand better are the the things that happened in Nigeria after independence in 1960s, right? Ethnic and regional tensions intensified, and this is something that is reflected in the story as well, right? Can somebody tell me what are the regions that the novel refers to? I hope you guys have read it, okay? Could
Regions
somebody
in
tell me?
Understood. You kindly repeat what you just said.
Sorry, we can't hear you properly. Could you speak a little louder, please?
Miss, can you kindly repeat what you said? I lost my
The ethnic
connection.
and regional tensions intensified. What are the regional divisions that the novel refers to?
Miss, do you mean by like the regions in like the geographical
Yeah,
regions?
yes,
Um, Anata, am I pronouncing it correctly? Or Anata
yes,
and
yeah,
Urua, right? Urua.
yes.
So yeah.
Those are the cities and townships that the novel refers to. But I think Nigeria, post-independence Nigeria has three major regions. So the northwest and the east, which were dominated by different ethnic groups, right? In Nigeria. So I think Igbo is one, and Achebe comes from that ethnic group. And then Yoruba is another very strong one, and I think the other one is Fulani or something like that.
There's a
But
Savannah also, no? There's something called Savannah. The northern is called
I
Savannah.
think it's maybe a subgroup of the main three.
The
Anyway,
Hausa Fulani.
yeah, House of Fulani. Yes, exactly. That's the term, right? Yoruba and Igbo. Igbo is, I think, the most well-known and probably the powerful ethnic group. Um, so so this was there, and as you can see now, throughout the novel, there are tensions, right? There are tensions within these regions. Could somebody tell me what are the examples you find in the novel to say that there are these regional and ethnic tensions within the government itself? What are the instances?
There is a like
President
early in
was
the
overthrown.
novel.
The election,
Early in the novel, there was this cabinet crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
and at the end, that Odili also is trying to that get the vote of the people and as the member in the election.
Come again?
The Common People's Convention is like they support Southern Eastern, whereas Nangas one supports traditional regions. So that caused the crisis.
Yes, but you also see that like when characters interact, also they talk about something. There are you guys have to read the novel a couple of times and read it closely, right? For example, Nanga also say invites Audley to join the government. He says, I have this secretary who is from the other region, but we should have our people. That kind of. So this is the kind of favoritism and the regionalism and ethnic favoritisms that this line refers to, ethnic and regional tensions, right? And this expression of the national cake, the people wanted their politicians to go and bring part of the national cake for the region. So there are lots of regional tensions. And now if there are three regions and three different ethnic communities who are finding it difficult to compromise and plan together and build a national future, that is because these are artificial constructs. The nations are artificial constructs. They are outcomes of colonialism. Because in colonial times, these boundaries were drawn purely out of commercial interests. Quite like India, because all these princely states were arbitrarily brought together and declared a country at the moment of independence. And for example, if you think of the India-Pakistan conflict for Kashmir, it's also rooted in colonial times because these are people with different languages, different religions sometimes, belief systems, right? Completely different, but they were arbitrarily brought together and declared a country as result of the colonial processes, colonial economic processes, and administrative processes. India was also,
You
as a
mean to
modern,
say Pakistan, India, anyway was separated before the colonialism? I thought they used to divide and rule and divided them at 1947.
1947, after that you had the partition, right?
Yeah, partition, they divided, I thought, to divide and rule. But was like before colonialism, were they different like regions where they were brought together for like being easy to for them to like politically maneuver?
Politic India, the subcontinent, was anyway small princely states. You can't even speak in terms of regions. There were so many different communities under different princely states, and these were all brought together under the British Raj so that it was an administrative unit. And that is how kind of the modern India was created. It wasn't supposed to be one country.
All right.
And whatever the partitions that happened immediately after, in the aftermath of independence, showed that there were tensions, or anyway there were tensions. The Kashmir conflict goes back to kind of this um, uh, some like a memorandum that was signed between the prince or the king of that area with India, and then at some point with the British Raj as well. So there are lots of history that all have roots in colonial rule, all in all conflicts, almost all conflicts in post-colonial nation states have their roots somehow or the other in colonial legacies.
Okay, thank
It
you.
applies to Sri Lanka as well. Could somebody tell me how? How Sri Lanka's 30 years of war was in a way can be linked back to the colonial rules, colonial administrative strategies and processes.
Means that they divided Sinhalese and Tamils are two different communities and made that division. Is that
Yes,
Uh,
because divide and rule is a strategy, right? So
yeah, Miss, I don't know whether that makes sense, but I was reading up on certain articles when I had to teach like big match, Yasmin Gunaratne's big match, and then I came across something where they said that it's easier to conquer a country when it's divided, when
yes,
they're all
yeah,
against each other.
yes,
So I think
divide
that's
and
the
rule. Yeah, that is the strategy. Divide and rule. So you lots of like bloody conflicts that has happened in lots of post-colonial nations across the globe are grounded in colonial legacies, right? In Sri Lanka, divide and rule happened that the Tamils and the Sinhalese, the smaller communities, the Tamil and the British used the Tamil community in administrative positions, gave so they were favored under the British rule with jobs in the government, English education, so on and so forth. And
And I think
with
e- even recently, Miss, when you take the Easter attacks, right? They wanted to uh, sort of create a conflict between two ethnical groups
yes,
so as to,
it
like create a
always
division.
yes, it always works when somebody is losing political popularity and facing criticism from the people. The best way to distract the people is by pitting them against each other. The
So
best
in
way.
what scales, Miss? So we can say in terms of religion, language, and
Ethnicity.
culture and ethnicity.
Ethnicity.
Okay, Miss.
Yes. Right. So with independence came that is the rule of the majority. And the majority were the Sinhalese, and they felt that they have been disadvantaged and discriminated against throughout the colonial rule, and they wanted privileges now. And that is and anyway, this communal ethnic politics always plays against each other. So Tamil language was no longer the official language. Sinhala became the official language, so on and so forth. And with that, the Tamil community became disenchanted and disgruntled with the processes. And then there you have the beginning of the tension, which ultimately led to a war. But anyway, as you can see, that is rooted in the divide and rule tactics of the British Empire, right?
And the basic, the reason for the war was the language, isn't it? Because that when Sinhala became the state language, the so many administrators were there,
It,
the Tamil administrators were there, and the Jaffna, that the library was very good, and so many educated people were there. When Mr. Bandaranaike that turned the Sinhala into
only,
state
only
language.
1953, I think. Yes. So that is the beginning of the problem. That is actually the beginning of the problem. So you lost your privileges you had so far. Nobody is willing to give up privileges you had. And then there were other, not only the single only policy, but also after that there were university entrance, because the university places were dominated by the English educated Tamil communities, because they had the privilege under the British rule. And then there was a law brought into standardized university entrance based on area, so that from this area this much, from this area this much. So once again it was based on numbers, right? And the Sinhalese were the majority. So it's lots of that. Read up on it. I think there is a very good book by Jayadeva Uyangoda, and also let me think. Can't remember. But that was a very, very good one. Maybe I will share with you later on. If you are interested in reading up about the history of the conflict, the root causes of the conflict, that's a very good one, and a very neutral one also. And that is very important. No? That it should be neutral, the analysis. Right, anyway, let's get back to the book because we might not get anywhere if we do not continue, like keep our focus on the text, which is about Nigeria, post-colonial. Right. So rapid politicization and corruption in government, economic growth, but unequal development once again because of the regional tensions and ethnic tensions. Okay, divisions. And political crisis and coups, 1962 to 1966. And then by Biafran secession and civil war. Right. So politicization and corruption in government, because political parties often functioned as ethnic patronage networks, and corruption became widespread. So there was a lot of, if the government came from, let's say for example, east, the west was disgruntled. If the government came west, the other two regions were disgruntled because they did not get any benefits from the government, right? So the government was usually very regional based on regional and ethnic politics, right? uh, so, uh, so there was a political crisis and coups. There was a census crisis because, the resource allocation was based on numbers. Everybody lied, and this is something that is mentioned in the novel as well. Because of all these crises and ethnic, so there was ethnic violence and political background. The eastern region declared independence at Biafra. They wanted to be a different country, right? And the Nigerian civil war, because that doesn't happen, nobody wants that to happen, like the government, of course. The Nigerian civil war resulted in massive casualties, right? And famine also. This kind of was one of the most terrible times in post-colonial Nigerian history, the Nigerian civil war, right? This one region wanted to break away and become its own country. Yeah, kind of applies to Sri Lanka in that sense as well, and to India also. I think there was at some point years ago, I think when I was in university, which is ages ago, there was similar stories coming out of India as well. Telangana, the state of Telangana wanted to become its own country, so to speak. Right. And then the rise of the military rule after the civil war. right? After the coup and the civil war, Nigeria entered a kind of a very long period of military governance, right? Because I think there were two very specific military regimes that controlled political and social life for the longest period, and Nigeria returned to civilian democratic civilian rule after 1999. And if you want to read up a little bit more about that part after the military regimes, read read the just go to the link that I have provided. It's a very succinct account of what happened afterwards, the civilian rule. Okay, right. But anyway, all these things are in some way or the other portrayed in Achebe's novel A Man of the People. Right. Let's get to the book.
Miss,
40.
can I ask a
Yes.
that, Miss? Yeah, Miss. So
Yeah.
you said there is regional and ethnical tensions,
Yeah.
and this is a critical construct uh, of the of colonization, right? And Miss, what's the purpose of this?
Once again, administrative and like trade purposes. If
Okay.
you read, I don't know, guys. Okay, I'm going to turn on the video for a little. I don't know what sort of a what the type of copy you have, but if you have this copy, give me a second. Right, can you see this? This one? If you this have this copy, this has a very good introduction about the history, kind of how Nigeria was created as part of a like a basically a trade plan. Okay,
Okay, Miss.
on the
I'll
on the
read
part
that
of a British
introduction. Yeah.
person. Okay, it was just imagined as a, like a, this area brought together for trade purposes. Right? There's nothing natural about anyway modern nations, especially like a ours. I think it makes sense. It's an island. It's tiny. But especially India, for example, it's completely a construct. It's like an artificial construct of the British Raj. It's not, it wasn't meant to be a country. That is so many religions, so many languages, so much variety within. Trying to bring it all together and call it a country can lead to disaster. And that's what happened in terms of Telangana and also Kashmir conflict, so on and so forth. It's interesting. The post-colonial histories of our regions, Africa, it's brilliant. I think one of the other best examples I can think of is in terms of Tutsi and Hutu. Was it Tutsi and Hutu? There was this war in which country, African country? Let me quickly check. Tutsi. Mm, was it?
I think in terms of what was it? India's colonization, it was the whole trade agreement was with the East Indian Company, no, Miss. How they wanted
Yes,
to.
exactly. Yeah. Yes. So Tutsi and Hutu, there was a genocide, Rwandan genocide. It was a conflict that killed millions of people, and this conflict was between the Tutsis and the Hutus, the tribal or ethnic separations, and that separation was created by the British. They created actually these communities based on the how light their skin is and the how the width of their nose or something like that. So it's ugly and it killed millions of people. I think you get a sense of that conflict in this movie called The Blood Diamond.
I
Leonardo
watched
DiCaprio.
it, Miss. I watched it.
Yeah, that's the one. And that division between the two sides was a fabrication of the colonial rule.
Very inhuman, no, Miss, the way they kill people.
I know, and that division that you are different from us was completely created during the colonial rule.
Miss, it happened during 1947 partitioning also.
Yeah,
My great grandfather, and all in front of their eyes, people were like massacred. Then they had to run away within 24 hours, leaving Kutiana, the Gujarat. So this is very common, Miss, how they divided and people just getting like they just lose logic, rationality when they get into that mode. So it
that's
is all
what.
over the world.
Yes, it is. It really is. Yes, it really is. The as I told you, right? In post-colonial countries, the if you look at the histories of genocides, of civil wars, and everything, at the end of the day, somehow or the other, it is inflected by their colonial legacies. And this is why this part of the world is still in such a disarray. And this is something we are going to talk about, all right? We cannot, this is why we are going to read the theorist Achille Mbembe that I talked about and, kind of read it together with Achebe. The, our conflicts, our problems are rooted in colonial times, colonial histories, but we cannot blame it completely on the colonial rule, because we have had 60, 70 years to ourselves to sort our shit out, basically, right? And we have not done so. Because of the political class, the leaders have failed us, right? So we cannot completely blame the colonial route, but we have to identify this is the common factor that we have between Nigeria, Sri Lanka, India, so on and so forth, the colonial history. So they have, it's at the foundation of our problems, but the rest of it, it's our doing, right? That we have been manipulated, and we have been happily manipulated. We have not seen the truth for what it is, and we have been happy to just divide and blame each other rather than look at what the real problems are.
And I think we have been comfortable with the realities that have been presented. I mean, it's not like we have been able to see what the truth is
Yes.
for what it is. So
Yeah,
blinded
but
by it.
you also, even when you see, sometimes you're just, I don't know, you're not very proactive about it. You just mind your business, thinking that it wouldn't affect you. But politics is part of our everyday life. Nobody can escape that. Right.
It's just like littering. Like we would say that, yeah, like what is like throwing one plastic spoon on the road going to matter?
Yes.
In which if everyone, when everyone does it, like collectively, it's a significant thing. And then you have garbage piling up. So I think individually we have to make a stance.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Right. Okay. Where were we? Right, Mildew. So if you want to read up a little bit more, refer to the link I have shared. Let's get to the book now. All right. Title: A Man of the People. What does that
I thought it was very ironic.
Yeah.
He was not at all man of the people.
Yeah, okay. In what way was he not a man of the people?
He was for himself. To the world, it's very hypocritical. To the world, you show your concern, you're doing, but you do everything for your personal gain.
He exploits the poor, steals the government money.
Yes. Yes. Yes, very good. But anything else?
I'm sure everybody can picture someone very close to us, isn't it? We have how you carry the baby, make the baby feel good, make the world feel, you're a man, father of the nation, but yes, you look after yourself.
Yeah.
But the ironical, irony is like also shown in the people who blindly believe him. It's not only that he does it, but they also allow him to do it. No, they sell their votes.
Yes, that is exactly the point.
That is the saddest part of this.
Yes, exactly. So this is something that we are going to have a very more in-depth discussion later on about the complicity, right? Complicity of the people. This is a man of the people, which is true to the extent that he is voted by the people, he is liked by the people gather when he comes, they cheer when he comes, they laugh at his jokes, and he says, why shouldn't he, when he is given a morsel, why shouldn't he put it in his mouth? Right? So there's a lot of complicity on the part of the people. And that is why he's a man of the people. He's a product of them because they never oppose him. They might know he's stealing, but they will not oppose him. He's a man of the people because he's a performer, one thing. If you look at the first chapter where he comes to this event at the school, the way people welcome him, the way he interacts with his people, right? Waving, laughing, patting the backs and giving hugs and giving money to the performance and dancing a little bit to the tunes, right? He's definitely a man of the people. He's an ace performer. Once again, we have so many examples from Sri Lankan context as well, right? And when the people are part of that performance, they are a willing, enthusiastic, supportive part of that performance. They have gathered. There's no space left in the school auditorium. They're stacked on top of each other. They are cheering for him, right? They're cheering for him. They're performing for him. They are feeding his ego. They're hanging on to each single word that comes out of his mouth. So they have made this man who he is, right? So there is a reciprocal relationship between this man and the people, a man of the people in that way. But what you said earlier is also correct. He's not a man of the people in the sense that he is exploiting his position for his own gain, right? So because of that, so there is that element as well, but the title is ironic and true at the same time. All right, anything else you want to add?
And I think he uses language to do that, right? When those educated group of people like voice out and say that we're not supposed to you're supposed to change the strategy of the country instead of simply printing more money. The speech given by that person is written very differently when published on the paper.
Yeah, yes, exactly. This is what I told you earlier about, this level, the kind of the things that we have gone through in the last couple of years that might not be a part of official history. That might not be a part of history. It's a reality we lived and we have to remember and record in some way, right? The ordinary people, because multiple voices, multiple truth, multiple narrative about the same event matters, right? So once again, yes, this is a very good example of how certain the regime is backed up by media, by the people, by traders, and so on and so forth, and other people in power, right? They are in tandem, they are working in tandem. But you guys, shall we go through the first chapter? Because, of course, we have only 2 sessions, right? We'll come back and we'll go through a part of, we'll read through and kind of comment on what we discussed about the man of the people, the title, the kind of dynamic that we have going on here. We'll discuss it in detail in relation to chapter 1. We'll have a little break and come back and do that, shall we? And then we'll move on to other things. Of course, I won't be able to walk you through all the passages and things, interesting things that I found in the novel. But this is one thing we can do a very close reading, okay? And then kind of unpack the basic dynamics at the heart of the novel, between the politician and the people. Is that okay? Shall we take a small break? Uh,
Okay, ma'am.
yeah, let's take 10, okay? No, 8. So it's 9:02 now. We'll come back at 9:10 and then pick it up. Go through the chapter. All right? Again, I really hope all of you have read. Right. Let's